Welcome to the I Hate Critics Movie Review Podcast. I'm professional film critic Sean Patrick. With me is Jeff.
Hello, everyone.
Find us on all of the social medias that you follow, wherever they are. We're always there. Just look for I Hate Critics. Look for Jeff Lasseter. Look for myself at Podcast Sean on Twitter. If you're interested. Jeff, where do they get your art?
You can go to my website, which is jefflasseter.com, which I did start updating finally. I'm trying to do a revamp. If anybody wants to pay for a year of Squarespace for me, I'm totally cool with that. You'll get a lot of free art. So,
all right. So that's good to know. Let's see. Checking out some quick news before we jump into our movies this week. A group of film bros is trying to claim, I guess they're trying to claim victory over Snow White. These right-wingers have been like downvoting Snow White on Rotten Tomatoes, and they've had this social media campaign trying to, I guess, keep people from seeing the movie, which, made $45 million. I don't think you were that successful, guys, but apparently, since it's not a blockbuster, these guys won, Jeff. These right-wing guys, they beat Snow White. Boy, a group of 30 to 40 to 50-year-old men defeating a movie aimed at 8 to 12-year-old girls. Wow, what a victory, you guys. You really did it. Your lives are fulfilled.
I am convinced that it's like 1 million moms. It's probably like, like 100 to 200 people who get so fucking mad that a woman dares to not toe their incel line. So they decide, and it's Disney too. So there's that. Anytime a woman speaks out about anything, then she is terrible and we must review bomb her movie, downvote it. Startup pages literally talking about how Rachel Zegler is the worst thing that ever happened to film, and then pull this shit. It is infuriating to me because it's like nobody can enjoy anything anymore without a bunch of these stupid fucking right-wing nut jobs going all in it, go woke, go broke. They just want to prove that. So they start these whisper campaigns and shit. So
something they can't possibly prove, by the way. I mean, it's not a thing that you can actually prove is real, this go woke, go broke, because Costco's doing great and they're pretty woke. So is Disney, and they're doing pretty great. So I don't think you're winning that one, but it's also not something you can win. You're also just you're rooting for a negative, which is, kind of and it's kind of a losing sum game from the start. But what a stupid shit. This poor movie at the same time is like caught in like so many different like political things. I mean, first of all, the people complaining about Rachel Zegler not being white enough to play Snow White. And then, then she speaks about Palestine and now she's the enemy. But then Gal Gadot was speaking about Israel. So she's the bad one. We got to attack her. Like, good fucking God. Just you're going to hold yourselves, people.
If you're going to attack Gal Gadot, that is not the reason to attack her. The reason to attack her is because she can't act her way out of a wet paper bag. I said what I said.
Oh God, what a waste of your lives, though. Honestly, truly, what a waste of your lives. If you're spending any amount of your emotional energy rooting for a movie to fail, actively trying to do things that you think will help to make a movie fail, I mean, truly get a life. I mean, just touch grass. You fucking twat. Get out of your mom's basement. Go find a friend. Go find these people who are helping you in real life and spend time with them. The group of you, just go spend time together somewhere. So you're away from the internet for 10 fucking minutes.
Go see a movie you like or you want to see.
Go watch Sound of Freedom again. I don't know.
Yeah, I am convinced also that they tore at movies, so they never have to go out. They never have to go watch a movie in the theater with other people. They spend all day on Nick Fuentes and Charlie Kirk talking about how, the woke mind virus and all that. And I think that these guys just don't have anybody in their lives that just can slap them and say, snap out of it. Just a good
Yeah.
shot upside the head with it. Just stop for 5 fucking minutes. Stop and think about your actions. Think about the fact that you are spending so much time hating shit that you don't have any time to love shit.
Mm.
And that includes themselves, because like, I do not understand why you would want to spend so much time on the internet bitching about stuff you hate when you could be on there promoting stuff you love.
Exactly.
We
Exactly.
talk about stuff that we
Yeah.
love and hate every week,
Mhm.
but I I can this sounds terrible. I probably shouldn't say this, but I can barely tell you what we watched 2 weeks ago because we watched so much stuff. We talk about
Mhm.
stuff, and we kind of expound on the stuff that we love, and we don't really talk about for very long the stuff we hate. So just do that. Just like what you like, and talk about it.
Yeah, there's a great YouTuber whose whole thing is like what you like and don't be a dick. And it's really just it comes down to that because it's such a good ethos for life. Just like what you like and don't be a dick. I think this is the same group of guys, Jeff, who also call Trump daddy.
Uh-huh.
I had this like mind infection yesterday. I was watching a new video by a creator named Natalie Wynn. Her channel on YouTube is ContraPoints, and she put out this 2.5 hour documentary on conspiracies, and she included in it this montage of grown ass men calling Trump daddy, and it's like, oh my god, it's a thing. It's a thing with these people. Yeah, daddy's
Well,
home. Oh, daddy's home. Oh, yeah, daddy's home.
I think, and this
Oh,
kind of speaks to what we were talking about with movies,
mhm,
is these guys, no, they had an absentee father. And as much as like a lot of these guys talk about, oh, black people don't have fathers in the home, because that's a big talking point among these guys. And I think that's
mhm,
projection, because I don't think they had a dad who was engaged, and they had a mom who was trying to do everything and failing at doing stuff. So they don't respect her. So why would they respect women? And they are trying to get their dad's love by the adage, any attention is good attention.
mm,
So it all does track for me.
yeah,
I also think that, some of these guys don't even believe the shit that they're doing. They just want the clicks, they want the views. There's a Star Wars guy called Mike Zero,
mhm,
and there's one called Star Wars Theory. And they both started off as big fans of the series. And Theory was one of those guys who loved The Last Jedi until he started reading people say how much they hated it, how it wasn't Star Wars, and he realized he could get more clicks and more views on that kind of stuff. Same
yeah,
with Mike Zero. I don't think they actually believe half the shit they say. I think most of these guys would want to hook up with Rachel Zegler, realize that she would never give them the time of the day because she has a super hot boyfriend. Um, so why would she? And that makes them mad because they're like, oh yeah, another woman who won't talk to me. Well, yeah, because look at what you're doing with your life.
exactly. So pathetic. It is just incredibly, incredibly pathetic. By the way, if you want a great documentary on conspiracy theories, do watch Natalie Wynn's video. It's her channel is called ContraPoints. She's absolutely incredible. It's a 2.5 hour watch that goes by like 10 minutes. It's because she's just so fucking entertaining
Put it in the
and
show
brilliant.
notes.
Yes. Um, returning to the topic of Snow White, because that is our first movie of the week. $45 million at the box office over the weekend. Probably not the number that Disney wants. Still number one at the box office. Still the best performing thing at the box office. And I really don't understand the hatred. Like, do I
No.
think this is a good movie? I think it's a fine movie. I think it's good enough. I think they achieved everything that they want to achieve. They're telling the classic Snow White story. There's Poison Apple, the dwarves, she goes off into the forest. She's let loose by the huntsman who doesn't kill her when he's supposed to. All that stuff is there. There's a bunch of new music that, is not to my taste, but it's very simple, very easy to consume and be done with. I didn't have a problem with any of that. I didn't even hate the dwarves, which I know a lot of people have been whining about how ugly the dwarves are. And it's like, it kind of lowered the bar enough to me. It was like, I kind of think Dopey was kind of adorable.
It was.
This is just my opinion. I also think that I kind of love this movie for being just the most accidentally political movie of 2025. Because when you have a guy like Elon Musk going around and saying things like empathy is a weakness, a movie where empathy literally wins the day kind of feels like it feels like revolutionary almost when when you really break it down. This is a movie for 8 to 12-year-old girls. And so I'm not going to sit here and tell you how terrible it is, because it wasn't made for me. It wasn't made for you. It was made for 8 to 12-year-old girls. And this is exactly the kind of message that 8 to 12-year-old kids need. The idea here is that Snow White defeats a greedy, cynical, oligarchic leader simply by being compassionate, empathetic, and caring. She wants to restore community, get people working together again for the betterment of their community. And this evil person, Gal Gadot's character, the Queen, is, evil, rich. She's just trying to perpetuate her own power and causing everyone else to suffer. What does that sound like to you? It sounds like the right wing to me. It sounds like Trump. It sounds like Elon. I mean, and this movie had no intention of that. This movie was was being finished before Donald Trump was even reelected. So this movie had no intention of being revolutionary, but it feels revolutionary just simply for the fact people think that empathy is a weakness, and this movie is about a character who uses empathy to defeat a greedy, angry, brutal oligarch.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was like, oh, okay, this is not what I was expecting from a Snow White movie, but I was here for it. A few things, like, I also was pleasantly surprised how they probably Sonic the Hedgehog the dwarves, because they looked a lot better than they did in the early trailers that came out, and any of the promotional images. I did like Dopey. I thought, his voice was Andrew Barth Feldman from No Hard Feelings.
Okay.
And now looking at him, looking at a picture of Dopey now, I'm like, oh, okay, they actually kind of played with his face a little bit. And I actually met the guy who did Grumpy. He was at the toy show that I did in December. He was kind of he was nice enough, but he was one of those kind of creepy guys with all the women that came up to his table, apparently.
Yeah.
Just what I heard. Things that, like, I didn't. There's something about Andrew Burnap, and I think we talked a little bit about it during the front room. He just doesn't, to me, seem like leading man material.
He doesn't have a star quality. He's lacking a very particular kind of star quality.
Now, he's a Broadway actor. He actually won a Tony for best performance in a play, and from everything I've heard, is he's amazing on stage. He was in a play called The Inheritance, and apparently was just blew everybody away all the time. There's something about him on screen that I don't feel like he's the romantic lead.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is.
There's just, like, the thing about it is people don't acknowledge enough just how different stage acting and film acting is. I think I always go back to Fences with Denzel Washington, where Denzel is acting to the back of the room and Viola Davis is in a movie. And it just completely gives you two different things that are happening here. And I just don't know, like, a lot of theater actors who try to dial down their theater persona to play a movie, they don't quite know how to modulate that. And I don't think he's found that yet. Not to say that he can't. I mean, he might be able to at this point. He really hasn't found it in either of these two roles.
Yeah, so let me get to Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. Gal
Mhm.
Gadot. Um, Rachel Zegler was fine. I don't have any problem, looking at her and seeing her as Snow White. I thought she was, she's beautiful. She's very talented. She can sing like crazy. All of her, all of the musical stuff that she did was just perfectly on point. Um, I thought she was very competent when it came to dancing with the dwarfs who weren't there. um, I sometimes her delivery is a little. I think with okay, with this movie, this is another time, another place kind of movie, and some of her line delivery was a little like modern, a little too modern for me. You know, there's a bluntness to her performance in this particular movie in certain spots where it's like you can tell where the reshoots were.
Mhm.
And I really do have a feeling that that was a lot of the dwarf stuff, because that's where she kind of comes off like she doesn't want to be there. Maybe
Hmm.
I, and I know that they did apparently do quite a bit of reshoots with the dwarf scenes and the whistle while you work scene, is what I've heard. And I think that might be something where she's just kind of like, all right, I did this and then I'm doing it again. I don't want to really necessarily do it again. So there's a certain bluntness to her voice, and it's very kind of abbreviated that I noticed.
Okay.
Um, Now Gal Gadot, where do I start? I loved her as Wonder Woman. And I in the first Wonder Woman, I really loved her because she had that kind of dopey quality where she was just everything was so new to her, and her line deliveries were kind of stilted, but it worked for the character who's just out into the world for the first
Right.
time. That, however, gets really old, and I just don't think she can act that very well. I think she's beautiful, and she definitely looks the part of the evil queen. Um, but some of her line deliveries and her just garbling some of the lines. I know she has an accent, and I'm not saying it's her accent. I'm just saying it just seemed like she was trying to rush through some stuff, and I don't see her as an evil queen. I mean, depending on your views on or whatever. But I don't see. She looks the part, but she doesn't act the part. She acts like a drag queen doing a skit whenever she's supposed to be evil, and
Yeah.
it's so over the top that it was just kind of like, oh girl, you don't know what you're doing. You always had to just be the passive, strong, like strong but not mean. So I don't.
I think she should have studied some actual drag artists before she did this.
Yeah, she's like category is first time in drag kind of thing. Yeah.
Do you think of a drag artist who could have pulled this role off, actually?
Oh God, I can think of
There are probably a few, I
hundreds
bet.
of them. Like I watched enough RuPaul's Drag Race to pick out one from every season. Um, the first one that pops to mind is Sharon Needles
Yeah.
from season 4 of RuPaul's Drag Race, who was kind of the goth queen. Who, like her very first runway look was a zombie who like bled from the mouth. So, I was just like, I,
Yeah.
her as the evil queen, abso-fucking-lutely. Um, you know, th- Jinx Monsoon, who is like cuddly and whatever, could totally pull this off. Um, it needed to be campier, and I think she thought she
Yeah.
was being campy, but she was really being shrill.
I don't know if she knows what campy is. I mean, if you look back to like the pandemic and she brought all celebrities together to sing Imagine. I don't know that she understands what camp is.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I was just thinking of drag queens though, because like, because there is an element of drag to her performance, not enough of it, obviously, but like it would have pissed these men off so much if there was a drag queen in this role. They would have been so angry. It was just wonderful to think of them being even more upset than they already are.
And Snow White, as it is in the public domain. I don't know why there's not a movie starring drag queens.
Great question. Great question. It needs to happen tomorrow. Oh my God, that should be People's Joker, Vera Drew. That should be her next thing.
Oh, there you go.
Vera Drew, get on that Snow White adaptation.
Drag White. Snow White and the Seven Drag Queens.
That would be wonderful.
I don't know. Just wasn't really. This movie is fine. It is not for us. It like you said. You know what? It just popped into my head who would have made a perfect evil queen. And since she's having a moment, Parker Posey.
Oh yeah, I can see that. She could definitely.
And she already has the widow's peak. She wouldn't have had to wear that silly nylon on her head.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Parker Posey should have been the evil queen in Snow White.
This movie is not bad at all. In fact, I think it's fine. I think it nails exactly what it's trying to be. I think 8 to 12-year-old kids should be watching this movie. I think it's exactly the message that we need right now. With again, the accidental politics of it is so perfect for this moment. I loved it. The fact that not a punch is thrown in the final act, and the ending is her just appealing to the better nature of the Queen's guards and reminding them of what good in the world there is. That just was like that moved me. That moved me on a very genuine level. I thought Rachel Zegler was great in that moment. And like I said, Elon literally said that empathy is a weakness of Western civilization. And it's like, no, it's not. It's really not. It's actually the best thing that we have. It's actually better than anything we've ever had as a, it's the best quality you can have as a human being is having empathy. And this is a movie that defeats an evil oligarch like Elon using empathy.
I also think that this movie came out a week too late because most schools were on spring break last week. And to have all those kids off school would have probably, added another 20 million to it.
Yeah.
So
I think they were concerned about, I think they might have been concerned about the electric state pulling some of that audience away on Netflix.
Yeah.
Give that movie a week out and get people to see it. And so they had a more of an open field because that movie did draw a lot of people, even as that movie's a genuinely terrible film, by the way. The Electric State, a genuinely awful movie, but millions of people watched it apparently, according to Netflix's numbers. So I think that could have played a role.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's see. Where do we want to go next? We want to go to Locked next. Yeah. What do you think? Locked.
It didn't exactly lock me down the whole time.
But
I know, right? But I didn't hate it.
Locked stars. What's his name?
Bill Skarsgård.
Bill Skarsgård. I can never remember which Skarsgård I'm talking about when I talk about a Skarsgård.
Let's call him Pennywise.
Bill Skarsgård in the story of a guy who is desperate for money. He breaks into a gorgeous-looking car and ends up trapped inside of it by the owner of the car, played by Anthony Hopkins, who's a psychopath who's dying of cancer and wants to torture somebody who tries to steal his car. He's apparently been looking to do this for some time because he's built this car specifically like a cell to lock somebody inside, like he's a Saw villain or something. And this is a movie. So I've talked about this before, and I'm just going to lay out the concept very quickly. I talked about odds stacking, where like Bob and I went into a whole thing about it during the movie Soul Survivor, where sort of based on a true story about a group of soldiers who are trapped in the woods. They're all very injured and they're trying to get back to civilization. and they're so badly injured that it's like watching the Black Knight from Monty Python try and survive. Like they just keep stacking the like. There's no possibility that anyone could have survived the things that the movie claims these people survived. And that's the whole
Yeah.
point. When you set the odds against a character so high, it makes it impossible for me to fully invest in this. And that's a shame because I think Skarsgård is doing a lot of great work here. I think he's got a great face. I think his physicality in this, especially in such a confined space, is really strong. He's always been a very strongly physical actor. I just think that, first of all, I mean, he slices his arm open in a way that would just put anybody on the ground just from seeing the amount of blood. And then he tries to shoot out the windows using his gun, and the windows are reinforced, so the bullet just comes flying back at him and shoots him in the leg, and he's bleeding so much that he would have passed out. And then, like, he continues to get just further injury after further injury after further injury trying to escape. And it's like, it's at a certain point, like, especially when we got to the end, there's no way that this guy's walking away. There's no way he's picking up his kid at the end of the movie. He would need to be like on a constant infusion of blood for the next 2 weeks before he could actually stand up and move. He's had no food in 4 days except for a cookie. He's had one bottle of water and a bottle of piss. Like, there's no possibility that this guy's walking around. I'm sorry, I can't buy it. I can't.
I gave it the premise. It had some interesting ideas to it. My biggest problem with it was Anthony Hopkins was such a cartoon villain that he just he was so over the top with his villainy that he really didn't seem like a threat even at that, because I think he just I'm doing this and haha, aren't I an evil genius? And
he's got no point.
No,
like, there's no point or purpose to what he's doing. He's not trying to, like, in Saw, the villain in Saw is trying to teach everyone that he's killing a lesson. They have a chance to survive what they're doing if they turn their life around and become a better person, which I think is a great premise for a horror movie. But Anthony Hopkins' character here, he's just like so angry. He's like so nihilistic. He has no point to what he's doing at all, other than I'm just going to repeatedly torture the first person that tries to get inside my car, and that's it. And then he goes into all these like right-wing talking points about poor people and how they're, how ugly and gross and disgusting they are and how lazy they are, but he doesn't do it with any purpose. He doesn't actually come around and like give you a philosophy that would underline why he's doing what he's doing and, make it kind of a broader point.
Yeah. Well, his whole, like, the reason he is supposedly doing this, and it's an excuse to me. It's not a reason, because the reason is because he's a psychopath and he wants people to suffer like he's suffering. But he says that he's doing this to feel like he's getting some justice for his daughter being murdered by muggers. Now, if Bill Skarsgård had been like, if there had been 3 muggers and he was just there,
right,
and that was the reason this was happening, and he kind of engineered it, it would have been a big leap, but it would have made some sort of sense why he was doing this to him. He could have looked him up and said, oh, this guy's, he's kind of a sad sack and he's kind of a fuck up, but he does have a daughter, and I don't want anybody's kid to have to go through that. And the scene where he's trying to run down the girl on her scooter was just fucking, that was just, it was really like unnecessarily cruel.
Yeah.
And
like the whole thing of driving around with him is needlessly risky, because I mean, if you get the cops involved, suddenly your whole thing is over.
Yeah, and he's going like 85 miles an hour in the streets of whatever city this is supposed to be. I honestly felt like it was filmed a little bit in Los Angeles, a little bit in New York, a little bit, kind of in different places, because the geography was so weird to me. But just the fact that he's trying to run this little girl down and prove some sort of point by doing that, and then she's not traumatized at all. Like, the next day, oh, Daddy, are you gonna come and pick me up from school? Daddy, she's not going to say, hey,
Yeah.
Dad, some guy in a fucking truck tried to run me over.
Or mom, for that matter. Like,
Yeah.
who is the fucker who tried to kill my kid?
Yeah.
Like,
It,
I'm calling the police. We're going to go looking for whoever did this. Going to try and track down this fucking car that tried to run down my child.
right. Oh, it's,
No,
it,
the
it,
unfortunate thing for,
it
for Anthony Hopkins' character is not so much that he's just a psycho for being a psycho, it's that he's a psycho because he's a villain in a movie. And that's really the whole thing, is that he's the villain of the movie, and thus he has to be a villain. And that just demonstrates kind of the bankruptcy at the heart of the film.
yeah. He's trying to be Dennis Hopper in Speed is what he's trying to be. And
Yeah.
that's a singular performance. Anthony
Truly.
Hopkins can do a lot of evil shit, but that's not Anthony Hopkins.
And Dennis Hopper's character had a pretty strong motivation for what he was doing. So
Yeah. Yeah, overall, I thought parts of it were good. I did like Skarsgård's performance. I think
I
he's
love the
the
idea, like the challenge of it.
yeah,
The single location being so small, and trying to maximize the use of that space. The invention of this vehicle, which is not like any real vehicle ever, is really impressive in some ways. And again, the way Skarsgård physically makes use of it is impressive. So there are things about this movie that work, but not enough.
no. This is a really good, like, if it was part of a like the trilogy of terror kind of, movie where it's like an anthology,
Hmm.
this would have been a really good part of an anthology because it could have been shorter. It could have been, there should have been the twist of, well, you were an associate of the guys who killed my daughter, and I've been waiting for this for a long time, and blah blah blah. Something like that.
Hmm.
I I would have kind of bought it a little better, but just some random. What if somebody was on their phone and they just walked and they got into the wrong car? Would he still kill the like? What if the woman who was fixing her lipstick got in and by accident because it was parked close to her car, and she's oh my god, and then she can't get out. And he's like, "You tried to break into my car." No, I totally just got into the wrong one. I'm so sorry. Like I don't know.
Yeah, so I can't recommend this. I don't think it's good enough to recommend. I do think it's not a terrible movie, but it certainly could be better. And
Yeah.
if you want a movie that's just set in one car the entire time, watch Block with Tom Hardy. That's a really good
Mhm.
movie set entirely inside of a car.
There you go.
All right, I guess we have to get serious now, which is not easy for this show. Um, we don't do
It's gonna be political, so that is like us. So
that is true. We don't do Ernest very well, though. That's a problem. Um, No Other Land, the Academy Award winning documentary made by a collection of Palestinian and Israeli activists, Basel Adra, Hamdan Ballal, Yuval Abraham, and Rachel Szor, working together to bring this incredible documentary together. From 2019 to 2023, Basel Adra had been documenting what was happening in his village, where it was just continuously being overrun by the Israeli military day after day after day. They kept having to rebuild and rebuild and rebuild, and just the quiet, sort of empty cruelty of it all just is so overwhelming when you watch this. Just the how somebody could just continuously do this job and not feel anything about doing it. Really, it just it's crushing. It's oppressive while you watch this movie.
yeah, yeah. I saw this on Saturday afternoon at the Last Picture House, to an almost full theater. Although, why do they have to have those first three rows? It just doesn't make any sense. Um, and not a single word was spoken when the movie was over. You know how you're leaving the movie and you're talking, oh, what'd you think? And what'd you think? Not a single word. Everybody was just kind of stone faced, um, having a hard time believing what they were seeing. I
Yeah.
did. I was in the lobby for a couple minutes after, and one woman just said, she goes, so this is not just like this hasn't just been happening since October. I'm like, no, this has literally been like, 100 years. So
Yeah.
watching these people lose their homes for completely trumped up reasons it's sickening. It's like absolutely sickening to watch these people's houses be bulldozed for a quote unquote tank training area that's just a land grab. It's simply a land grab. I don't know how you can watch this and think it's anything but. Although I did
Mhm.
have a conversation with a friend of mine who um, is believes that everything that we are seeing, and I kept asking her about this, but she kept brushing this movie off. Um, Everything that we're seeing currently is Hamas blaming it on Israel, and they're doing all the bombings, and Israel is just on defense and all that. And I'm like, have you seen No Other Land? And
Mhm.
she changed the subject. I'm like, have you seen No Other Land? This is not. I'm not talking about everything post October 7th. I'm talking about stuff that was, for the last 10 years that they were filming. Um, what I don't understand is how people just you I guess I do understand it a little bit because of the current political climate we're in our country. You can
Mhm.
be presented with photos and hours of video like January 6th and still deny that it happened. Like literally millions of people watch that happen live and they still deny that it was what it was. Um it, it's watching like Basel kind of going, he's got, where he's fighting and he's fighting, and then he just has that dark night of the soul towards the end of the movie where he's just like, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Yeah.
And then, he's still doing it. And this started like this was filmed 5-6 years ago.
Right.
He's still doing it. And just kind of, that's one of the things that I liked was the resilience Basel and Yuval and Hamdan. And speaking of Hamdan Ballal, did you hear that he
He's
what
been
they
released.
called yeah, they called it a lynching and he was just released today.
Yeah.
Just
After
it's
he was brutalized first, of course, he was
oh,
tortured
of course.
before
Yeah.
they let him go.
And I just do not understand how human beings can be this way. Um and it really comes down and I don't I do not mean this as Jewish people or Palestinian people. I'm talking about their leaders and our leaders.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, this is something that's happening because of the government. It's not happening because of the people, because the people overwhelmingly are against stuff like this.
Yeah.
Um, like look at
Those are the
our political landscape right now. We've got thousands of people over capacity showing up to see people who are opposed to what's happening in our government right now. Um,
Mhm.
you know, Look at the Ukrainian war and how Putin thought he was going to have that wrapped up in like a matter of days,
Yeah.
and it's been years. And people overwhelmingly are on the side of good and humanity, but we've got these leaders who are so fucked up. And I'm talking about Trump. I'm talking about Netanyahu. I'm talking about Putin. They're so fucked up that they just have to have more, and they just cannot not have more. They just it's this is what happens. You literally bulldoze people's homes that they've lived in for years and years and years, and they have to live in a cave.
Absolutely. And yeah, you look at the creation of this documentary, it's created by it's created by two Palestinians and two Israelis. Like they work together to bring this story out because the Israeli people are not the enemy here.
Yeah.
Uh, it's the government that continues to do this, and the soldiers who are so in like ludicrous lockstep with their
Mhm.
leadership to do this. It's like if that prison experiment, the Stanford prison experiment, were actually real. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like these guys are so drunk with their own power and their own, their own idea of what's right and wrong that they've taken their power and just kind of dehumanized themselves to the point where they can continue to do this day after day after day to innocent people, no matter what they're saying. You've got a woman who's saying, "My daughters are still in there," and this guy's just like, "Whatever, just get out of, just
Yeah.
get out. I don't care." Like just completely as if he were brushing birds away. Like it doesn't like the inhumanity. It just kind of floors you. But the Israeli Palestinian conflict is incredibly complex, and we, of course, in America don't do complexity very well. We don't do nuance
Email
very
lady
well.
bad. Laughing lady bad.
Like, because oh, it's so frustrating. Like the idea of the creation of Israel was based out of compassion coming out of World War II and the desire to give the Israeli people a place to be after World War II, which was also part of also like we're America and we don't really want all those Jews coming here. Again,
Mhm.
because every time we do something good, we also are doing it for evil reasons. But um, there was also the deepest evil of that is that people the religious right believes that Israel needs to exist because that's where Jesus is coming back to destroy the Jews or convert them. He's coming
Right.
back right there in that spot, and we need the Jews there so that he can convert them or kill them because that's in the prophecy, which
What's
is
funny is
horrible.
like, the people who are really, really into the Bible, which I am definitely not. I've read it twice, which is why I'm an atheist. Um, but the, the people that are, so entrenched in that end times philosophy don't realize that everybody in the Bible existed in like less than 200 miles radius. It's like, yeah, I just don't understand I don't understand people's dogmatic views of things like that, that they cannot actually change their position on anything because they might feel like their entire life was a lie.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the re-examining your history and your beliefs is something that's bad.
No, it's
Well,
actually the best possible thing you can do.
I'll tell you what, if Trump came out tomorrow and cured cancer, I'd be like, yes, absolutely. Like good for him.
Right. Oh, it's so frustrating. Like again, mm, the Palestinians who were living in Israel at the time that Israel was created weren't bad people, and they got mowed over to create Israel, which is again awful. It's all bad. Like it's all bad. All the whole thing. Trying to do something good for the Jews, trying to create this, but at the same time doing something horrible. But then it creates this war between Jews and Islam that hated each other for years before that too. So it didn't really help things when Israel was forced into creation. But I'm just trying to be as fair as I possibly can. This is not about saying that Israel is bad or defending Israel is bad, because of course not. For a long time, Israel needed our support to stay alive because they were the ones who were being attacked. But now it's kind of gone the other way, where like we reached a point where it was a pretty much of a détente, where we had kind of borders, we were set, we had people then encamped on specific spots and started building communities. And when that happened, I don't know what it was about Netanyahu or the leaders of Israel are like, no, you cannot be in that spot. We're going to blow you up because of it. You innocent fucking people. And that's when it becomes wrong. That's when it becomes important to criticize Israel and tell them that they're wrong. When they start hammering innocent people for no good reason, that's when it becomes important to tell them that they're wrong. So it's not about saying Israel is always bad or Palestine is always bad. It's just always bad to attack innocent people who did nothing wrong. That's always bad.
Whether it's Hamas or Netanyahu, I don't care. If you're killing innocent people, you're in the wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So frustrating. It's We're adults. We shouldn't have to fucking tell each other this shit.
But here we are.
I thought we all agreed on this before the Trump thing. Going back to even before Bush, I just thought we all agreed: don't hurt innocent people.
Yeah,
I thought that was just something we all believed in, but apparently not. But it brings me back again to the documentary I was talking about before, ContraPoints, her documentary, where she comes to the end of it and goes, the reason people believe in conspiracies is that there are no adults and no one's in charge and everybody's scared.
mm-hmm.
And that's the real point of it, is that the people who are currently in charge around the world are no more qualified than any one of you listening to me say this right now. Any single one of us could do just as good a job as a leader of the free world. Any one of us. Because nobody knows anything. And that's okay. As long as we just learn the very basic thing of being nice to each other and trying to find a way to solve problems and work together, it's not that hard. It really isn't. We make it harder than it needs to be.
We have gotten a lot of propaganda over the years about how, certain groups are the enemy, and there are, I was trying to explain to my Jewish friend, look, I'm part of a minority that has been persecuted during every single election my entire life, just for wanting equal rights, and that somehow is terrible. I get it. However, we all have to work together and figure something out, as opposed to just, well, I don't like you, so we're going to make you illegal, or I don't like you, so we're going to bomb the shit out of you. There's less daylight between you and I and a group of Trump supporters than probably any of us would want to admit.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like the everyday kind of, what do they say, the kitchen table issues. We all want to succeed. We all want food on our table. We all want money in the bank. We all want, not to die because we can't afford to go to the doctor. We all want that same stuff. But they try to get us, they don't try, they actually do divide us with issues that, and I'm trying to be diplomatic, but it is really hard when you see it in your own family, and you can see people who aren't intellectually curious enough to change the channel once in a while. Who, I have a very close family member who never ever would watch MSNBC, calls CNN the commie news network, strictly watches Fox, and has gone down to the OAN and the used to listen to Rush Limbaugh and all that stuff. And I try to explain to this person that, what, we probably want very similar things. However, the news that you consume is telling you that, trans people are going to come for your daughters in the bathroom when they're actually talking about men. And no man is actually going to bother dressing up as a woman to get in the bathroom. They're just going to go in the bathroom.
Exactly.
I've seen it happen. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen that happen. Yep. Gay people don't want to fuck your kids. Trust me, we don't even want to be around your kids. We don't even want anything to do with kids. Those are pedophiles. Those are different than gay people. They run these scare tactics before every election. Have you ever noticed the caravans that were supposed to be coming in 2012? As soon as the election was over, what caravans? What are you talking about? We never said that. It's all theater. And if we didn't have leaders who were trying to enrich themselves off the backs of us, we wouldn't have to be worried about the Postal Service or Social Security or any of the stuff that we're all worried about right now collectively. But there are people that are in a cult, and I am calling that out. Trump people are in a cult because he can do no wrong. And you don't hear about the stuff like the the national security text yesterday. You didn't hear about that
Yeah.
on Fox. You heard about Jeannie Pirro was yelling about some celebrity she didn't like. I don't even remember who now.
Yeah. George
Seriously, it's
Clooney.
like, oh, George, okay, yeah. Just, how, oh, I can't say, whatever. You don't hear about, oh, you know what? These guys are actually incompetent. And can't we get some actual Republicans in instead of these, this reality show group of chuckle fucks that don't
Yeah.
know anything about anything.
I was on Blue Sky last night and just watching this whole Hegseth thing blow up, and it's just like maybe we shouldn't, have approved of the president just picking a guy he liked on TV to be the Secretary of Defense. Like maybe
Yeah,
that wasn't a good idea. Um, which is literally how President Trump picked Pete Hegseth. It wasn't because he thought he was qualified; he just liked him on TV.
he looks good on TV.
God, like and then I just get mad at centrist Democrats all the time who try to treat this like as if it's
Mhm.
normal. This isn't normal. This is not normal. We should
Yeah,
be calling these people idiots every chance we get. We should have kept calling them weird from minute one. Uh,
yeah,
They told us not to. The centrists, Schumer's, Harris, they told us to stop calling them weird. No, we should have kept calling them weird because it's weird. What they're doing is weird. Every little bit that they do is fucking weird.
yeah,
So frustrating. It's so frustrating. We could be solving what's happening in Israel and Palestine. That could be something that could be solved if we could get rid of Netanyahu and stop supporting his government and get somebody in there who's willing to just have a conversation with somebody. Ah, God. It's so childish. The idea that it is such childish thinking to think that bombing somebody is the answer to anything. That killing innocent people, harming innocent people is the answer to anything. That's just foolish thinking. And it just blows my mind that I have to tell people that. It's not something that I can really wrap my mind around, that I have to explain to somebody that empathy is a great quality that everyone should have because it makes you a better person. I didn't feel like we needed to teach that in schools, but apparently we need to teach that in schools because people are
yeah,
growing up without it now, apparently. It's just
yeah.
that the Palestine thing is just so much like, just stop hurting innocent people. Just stop. Both sides. And I'm not trying to enact both sides. And I know Israel is the aggressor in this situation. And they're the ones who are definitely in the wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not that it doesn't mean Israel is bad. Israel's good. It's just,
It's the leaders, and that's the thing. Is like when I engage with people on social media, which I try not to, but sometimes I just gotta insult a lady with bad hair and bad takes on trans people.
yeah,
But I I really I kick myself because I'm like, look, these people are uneducated. They don't realize that it doesn't matter who's in charge. Ultimately, if we don't hold them accountable, um, I keep they've stolen the old Obama derangement syndrome, and now that's Trump derangement syndrome. They steal everything and then call it their own, like black
mhm.
culture. Um, I just get so tired and disgusted because I'm like, look, if you don't call these people out for what they're doing and bombing innocent people because you're allegedly trying to get to Hamas, when it doesn't seem like that, it seems like you're trying to bomb the whole West Bank and the Gaza Strip so that you can turn it into luxury condos.
Really what he said. Literally what he said.
You know, I just if
We could build casinos there. Go fuck yourself.
if
Build
Kamala
homes
Harris.
there.
Now, I had big problems with Joe Biden about all of this,
Mhm.
not stepping up and not saying, "Hey, look, we're not going to give you billions and billions of dollars," which nobody has a problem with on the right because it's it's Israel, not Ukraine. Um, we're not going to give you billions and billions of dollars if you keep bombing Gaza.
Yeah.
We're just not. And
Biden's always been a centrist prick, just like
yeah,
most of the Democratic Party ever since Bill fucking Clinton, a fucking guy who's just about as evil as Ronald Reagan, as far as I'm concerned.
yeah.
Fuck Bill
And they,
Clinton. Fuck Bill Clinton. So I can throw that out there.
yeah,
My new mantra.
they tried to say, like Obama was, he was letting all the illegals in. He was harder on illegal immigrants than Reagan was. Reagan had blanket amnesty, and Obama was the deporter in chief. Make it make sense.
The thing is, like, Obama could have been progressive, like he had intentions of being progressive. It was his own centrist bullshit Democrat Party that threw a leash around him when it came time to actually do something progressive, because they would not unite behind him, even when they had both Congress and the Senate. They were the ones that held him back. Not Republicans. Republicans were always going to oppose him, but it wasn't them. It was his own party. It was the Schumers and them that said, don't push too far to the left. Don't do it. You're going to get in trouble. You might not get elected next time.
So when I watch a movie like No Other Land, I've got to wonder, what is the movie going to be like about us in 10 years and this period where everybody hates each other and everybody's sniping at each other, and the richest person in the world is literally taking a chainsaw to government so that he can enrich himself. What is that documentary going to be like? Is that going to be all shot on iPhones, or, how are we going to look back on this time the way that, they are in No Other Land? And are we just going to feel as helpless as you do when you're watching this movie?
I hope not, but it's hard to say. It's hard to say, because these people are going to do whatever it takes to try and stay in power.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the scariest part. Like, you've not hit the scariest part. The scariest part is the next election, where they try and tell us that we're not allowed to vote.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the scary part, folks. That's what you got to look forward to.
Yep.
Bummer. Hey, Jeff, thanks for picking this classic, by the way, because it's like you couldn't get any further from this particular conversation than we just had.
Well, I mean, I gave you two choices.
Why did you? What were these choices related to?
It was something I was browsing on Tubi because I needed to shut my brain off.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh God, I haven't seen Demons in forever. And I started to watch it, and then I was like, wait a minute. Let me look at some of the other stuff and see what we have that could be classics. Maybe we'll do Demons. I don't know. That sounds like that could be fun. Because I haven't seen it in 15 years, I think. And then I have not seen Cannibal Apocalypse, and that was the other choice that I gave you. Even though I own it, I bought it for it was on a flash sale on some website for $5, and I'm like, I'm buying that. So I haven't watched it, so I thought I told you before that I want to go through my movie collection stuff that I've just blind bought that I haven't watched yet, and see what that's where The Apartment came from.
Sure.
And Cannibal Apocalypse was one of them, which is not Cannibal Holocaust. Although it's the same time period, and I think we're going for that. But
we've got episode 666 coming up very soon. Maybe we'll save that one for that.
Yeah. No, there you go. all horror movies. And Bob better come back for that one.
Right? That'd be your episode 666.
See if we can get Josh to come on too.
Heavy metal fan that he is, that's the mark of the beast. Come on, you got to be here for that.
But I saw Demons in the theater about 15 years ago, not even probably 10 years ago. I had just moved back to Chicago, and it was at the Massacre at the Patio Theater that year. And I watched part of it and I ended up talking to, I think, Linnea Quigley or Mark Patton or something in the lobby when I went to the bathroom and didn't watch the end of it. So, and I'd seen it in the 80s on video cassette, but
Yeah.
who remembers
I
anything?
really didn't have much of an idea what this was, other than the name Dario Argento, who is the screenwriter for this, not the
Yeah,
director, but only wrote the screenplay for this.
Lucio
Lamberto
Fulci.
Bava was the director here, and this is a very silly movie, but in the most like fun, gross kind of way. A group of people get invited to a screening of a movie. The movie is infested with demons, or the theater at least is infested with demons that begin to take over people. A woman gets attacked and she becomes a demon zombie who then attacks her friend, and then her friend becomes a demon zombie, and then there are demon zombies everywhere. But are they zombies or demons? Doesn't really matter. Just passing the infection on one to one to one in a series of kind of gross scenes of people being killed. And it's really fun. It's really a lot of fun. This movie is incredible fun. I had a great time. I laughed a lot. I don't know if I was supposed to be laughing, but I was laughing at just the kind of stilted, over the top acting and the not Ken. That's something I
Well,
said to myself. Was
keep in mind too that
not
this is
Ken.
Italian dubbed in English, so that adds a whole other layer for
It
me.
does, because it was
Like,
like
well,
the voice acting does not match.
yeah, and it's like all first of all the guys in this are hot, with the exception of the old guy. They're like, and they all like were Italian Vogue models, and they just got put in this movie, and I'm just like, oh, hi. Um, but I don't think even an Italian, they're probably like master thespians.
No,
But to
absolutely not. No, you can
but
tell.
but with when you get to that, and then you dub it in English, in not a very good, in like the flattest like American accents you can possibly find.
Nobody has any realistic reaction to anything that they see.
It sounded like almost like an AI YouTube video at times, just the way they were delivering their lines. What do you say? You better pick up all the blow that's on the floor mats. I just, it's just like it's so silly, and so I
Oh,
I I love 80s horror makeup and practical effects. I've said that a million times how much I love practical effects, and this has some of the better practical effects.
it does. Those practical effects are pretty amazing, like substance level amazing, where one demon just like emerges from a girl's back, just
Yeah,
fully formed. Like that was pretty badass.
and
So yeah, some of that stuff is really, really cool.
when her demon teeth are coming in and they see it
Yeah.
like up close, and they're pushing out her regular teeth, that was excellent.
It's like a
Um,
thing that people just don't think about.
yeah, yeah. And when Garetta, who I actually have met, they did show demons at one of the massacres that I vended at, but I never get to go actually watch the movies if I'm vending, because
Mhm.
who's going to watch my table?
Right?
Um, but she was there and she was kind of walking around, she was looking at my art, and my friend Erin did some demons pieces that she ended up buying, and I'm like, oh, I wish I had some for her. I actually own one of his demon pieces. It's actually of her.
Yeah.
Um, and she was just like, apropos of nothing, telling us like stories of who was hooking up with who. Um, I basically like, I was a nice girl, but there were some of the kids on there that were just fucking everybody. I was like, oh my god. It's a fun movie. It's As I was watching it today, I was like, I remembered the first time I watched it. I was babysitting for a cousin, and my friend came over, and it was New Year's Eve, and we were watching horror movies, and this grossed him out so bad. He's like, I don't want to watch any more horror movies. And
Ah,
when when she gets the cut on her cheek and she goes to the bathroom and it starts pulsing and then explodes,
yeah.
I mean, that's less than 10 minutes into the movie, and he was already like, oh god. So
No, it's gross, but it's also very silly. in its way, and I just loved that. It just made me very happy to watch a movie that was this silly.
Yeah, yeah,
But this is also a movie like it has like a guy on a motorcycle with a samurai sword just slashing heads of zombies. Like, come on, that's iconic. Like,
yes,
come on,
yes,
that is truly iconic. And to do that in an '80s movie before you
uh-huh,
have CGI to help you, I mean, this looks better than any Resident Evil movie. Any of them.
agreed,
I would take
agreed,
this over every single
1000%.
Resident Evil piece of shit ever because this is so much better, so much more fun. It's got such a better tone, and I think honestly, it's just more skillful.
Right. One of my favorite set pieces is the crashed helicopter in the middle of the theater.
Maybe I
And
think I fell asleep for a bit because I don't. I just like, why the fuck is there suddenly a helicopter here?
and then they like try to turn it on and they're cutting like demon stomachs in half
They
with
just
the
kind of walk
blades.
right up to the rotors. Yeah,
I'm just like, oh my god, I love this so much.
right. I was like, what are you gonna do? Fly out of here? Like, what are you gonna do? What luck that they had a grappling hook? I mean, who would
Right?
he creates
Yeah,
this really cool, like weird guy with like a metal face, and like he just doesn't appear through the entire time that the zombies are there. But then suddenly he's just there on the roof. Who knows?
yeah,
I don't.
yeah. And somehow the metal mask is now his actual face, but
Yeah,
the skin is all around. Like he took that off and there was like a cyborg thing. I just was like, wait a minute, what?
part of me was like wondering is that the actor from the movie?
Yeah, I
It's kind of like, is it? They've never made like they don't make a direct connection, but it's like, is that where the guy from the movie ended up? Like he was in this movie, he got cursed in the movie, he brought the curse back in the movie, and then he's like the guy who's like actually enacting this whole thing because he got cursed on the movie. Is that what's happening?
I didn't go. I just went with it. I was like, I'm
Yeah,
not paying that much attention to it. I'm gonna like I'm there for the gore and the
right.
effects and the
There's like a
terrible acting.
there's a deeper level though here. If you wanted to plumb the depths of this, the idea of people turning into zombies while watching a zombie movie is kind of, it's almost like today they just have people on their phones being zombies or something.
Yeah. Well,
Look at your modern American experiences.
I I know there's a Demons too, and I haven't seen that in a long time. I don't want to watch that for our classic next week. I kind of have an idea, but I have to see if it's available. But I want to watch that at some point because I was I think I think it's like a almost a remake kind of thing, like an Evil Dead 2 kind of thing, if I remember correctly, but I could be wrong.
Mhm.
Or it's like at some point there's a demon that comes out of the TV, but it's stretching the TV, but you see the picture on it as it's stretching. It's not like a Nightmare on Elm Street thing where, you
Mhm.
actually see it stretching out. We'll have to watch that sometime and see if
I
that measures up, but
I know there's a Demons remake and that came out in 2012, but I've never seen that. That's the only thing I'm aware of.
yeah.
But yes, watch Demons. I watched it on Pluto TV, so you can find it in a lot of different places. Shutter has it as well, so you can watch it there without commercials. It's definitely worth it. It's definitely the iconic demon zombie movie.
Yeah.
Check it out for yourself. Next week we've got Jason Statham starring in a Neil Breen movie, A Working Man. Um, there's part of it that just reminds me, like, there's a trailer. There's a trailer like literally is like word for word a Neil Breen trailer. And nobody believes me. And I've not been able to find the trailer since I saw it the first time when he's like talking about a corporate and government conspiracy in the same way that Neil Breen talks about it in his movies. And I gotta find it somehow. Because it's like I'm wondering if this is just an influence. It's obviously it's not an influence, but it was just it's too perfect to not comment upon. The Woman in the Yard, I have no idea what that is, but I do kind of like the trailer. It's got kind of a good
Mhm.
atmosphere. And Death of a Unicorn, I also really don't know what to make of that either, but that is going to be out this weekend as well.
You'll be seeing that with Amy, I'm assuming.
I don't
With
know.
Paul Rudd.
I don't know. Amy doesn't really watch modern movies, so
But it's Paul Rudd.
I know.
I'm
I
just
know.
saying. I'm going to commit to The Woman in the Yard and Death of a Unicorn. I not bending in a show this weekend, but I will be in Chicago for a show starting Friday. So I will be watching Monday and Tuesday as early as I can possibly get to the theater. I'm going to commit to those two. I'm not sure about Jason Statham.
I'll
Um,
let you know if it's as if it's as brainy as possible. I'll let you know.
okay. I'm hoping that somebody, gets me a copy of that this weekend because they tend to like those kind of movies and, kind of sometimes I can find them on their computer. Um, we'll see.
Yes. If you've never heard of Neil Breen, trust me, you need to seek out some Neil Breen because it is some of the best comedy there is to find in movies. He's better than Tommy Wiseau, more entertaining, more completely incompetent in the most wonderful ways, and certainly just yes, an auteur for the ages, Mr. Neil
Oh,
Breen.
good. I just listened to The Disaster Artist.
Yeah.
That is an excellent, excellent book. I mean, I love
Mhm.
the movie, but I listened to Greg Sestero do it, and he does his Tommy Wiseau voice, and it's so funny. He's so good at it that you almost like I can picture Tommy Wiseau when he's doing his voice. So if you get a chance to listen to that book, especially, do it.
I was so mad when I didn't get to go see Greg Sestero when he was in town with the movie. I wanted so badly to
Oh
go,
yeah,
but
me too. I've never seen The Room.
really, you've never seen The Room.
Never seen The Room.
You've seen clips though, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh hi, Mark. That's my brother-in-law's name is Mark, and whenever I go over on Sundays for dinner, he's like, "Oh hey, there's Jeff," and I'm like, "Oh hi, Mark," and he has never seen it either. He doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but everybody laughs when I say it like that. So, oh hi, Mark.
Have are you familiar with the work of Neil Breen?
I don't know that I've ever actually seen any of his stuff.
Wow. If
Um,
you can imagine a more incompetent Tommy Wiseau,
I li-
but, but one who's like really deep into government conspiracy and mysticism, um, he's truly it's truly remarkable. His movies are unwatchable. they just they happen for so long and he cannot act. He is like what it's like watching an alien try and interact with real human beings. And he's constantly just casting himself alongside beautiful women that he forces to be naked in these movies and have sex with him as if he is attractive, and he is just not. He's not an attractive man. He is a Las Vegas real estate magnate who decided to get into movies when he was in his mid 50s and cast himself as a leading man.
oh God.
And then he discovered the green screen, and just his life just became green screen.
I mean, I am definitely getting some Tommy Wiseau vibes just from that description.
Yeah. I've watched so many videos people have made on on Neil Breen movies that I feel like I've seen Neil Breen movies without ever seeing them, which is the only way really to experience a Neil Breen movie is to not actually watch them. Watch other people talk about them. It's way more entertaining. It's like a creepy pasta.
So I'm looking at him, and he does look like if you bought Tommy Wiseau on Timu and then aged him about 5 years. And he's actually younger than Tommy Wiseau. Okay, wow.
How is that possible? He looks like he's in his 70s.
Well, I mean, he almost is, but Fateful Findings,
Yeah.
Twisted Pair. Oh,
Mhm.
wow.
Yeah.
Yikes. This looks terrible.
Oh, it's wild, man. There's a meme scene that's been around for years of his friend like is shot by his wife, and but the wife says that the guy killed himself, and he just walks into the place where the guy is laying on the ground bleeding. Goes, "Why did you kill yourself? Why? I can't believe you committed suicide." I can't even do it justice. There's just, you can't even begin to imagine just how he doesn't understand how words work when a camera turns on, apparently. Like, it's bizarre.
I did not hit her. So his face is very much giving that energy.
Oh, absolutely. So yeah,
Oh my,
you do a little Neil Breen research, and I'll tell you all about A Working Man and if it's Breenerific or not.
I don't know if I'm going to have time enough to go down this rabbit hole that I think I'm going to get sucked down into. I'm on the page for Twisted Pair on IMDb, and he's about to fuck a bird. Oh my, what? Oh my God. Oh, we should start doing these instead of Friday the 13th movies. What? I'm not buying it on Prime Video though. Sorry.
I will send you some videos to watch. Curtis Connor's done a great job. Alison Pregler on YouTube has done an amazing job of covering Neil Breen. So I'll send you a few things. The guys. Oh gosh, I can't remember the name of their channel. They're fucking great, but the name of their channel is escaping me. But they've done amazing Neil Breen stuff as well. Like I said, I don't watch Neil Breen movies. I watch people talk about Neil Breen movies. Because I don't know if I can make it through one of his movies.
I don't think I can make it through this trailer that I'm watching. He's like, oh,
Are you watching the trailer for Twisted Pair?
Yes. And he's got a beer. the worst sleepaway camp mustache I've ever seen. What the fuck?
Oh, wait till you see him leap from building to building.
He just did that. And he just disappeared.
Yeah.
And now he's shooting somebody in the knee, except they're shooting in the wrong direction. And oh, what the fuck? And he just leapt out to the top of this power plant that's against a green screen that
it just starts exploding for no good reason.
And it's the same explosions that were on the building earlier. Oh God.
Oh, the man bought one stock effect and this just was done.
Lord.
There is so much footage that he purchased from those sites that just create footage just for background videos, like
B-roll. Oh, and now all the computers are exploding exactly the way the building did, and now the railing that he just jumped down from has the same explosions composited on top of each other. Oh my! Oh,
God, that is what the internet has come to call Spider Breen, the one who jumps from place to place. Spider Breen.
Tommy Wiseau looks like Martin Scorsese compared to this guy.
I'm saying it's fucking great, isn't it?
I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but now he's walking through an
it's truly forest. It's like anti-comedy.
Why is he walking through a pure mood forest? Oh my God. He just jumped up. Like this background looks like... Not yet. I can't even... Oh, he just tapped his chest and a light came on? Is he E now? Oh no, it went away. Sail away, sail away, sail
I'll be right here.
Produced, written, and directed by Neil Breen. Well, that guarantees I'm never going to watch it. My God.
Amazing, right?
Like, I have seen more competent high school student films. I'm not even joking. Like, we made, my senior year of high school, we tried to make a Jason versus Michael Myers movie that had better production values than this, and we were using a VHS camera.
He's only got a green screen. That's all I can work with. Or as the internet has lovingly come to call it, a green screen.
Jesus.
He's the best. I mean, he's the greatest filmmaker of all time.
Clearly. Oh
yeah, I think Fateful Findings is my favorite. Like I said, I've never watched one of his movies because I've only watched other people watch them because they're that bad. They're just that horrible. But yeah, Alison Pregler and and Phalis on Allison's channel have done this. Curtis Connor has done a couple of Neil Breen movies, and they are absolutely the people to talk to when it comes to Neil Breen, so you don't have to actually sit through them.
I guess you know what they say about the I wish I had the confidence of a mediocre white man in his 50s. Here we are. Oh,
Indeed. And scene. Jeff, thank you so much.
have a good night, I guess. I have to go, I have to go to bed. I don't know if I'm going to be able to.
I will talk to you next week. Good night.
Sounds good. Good night.